cell phones and cancer, a prominent researcher is warning his own staff to limit mobile phone use and to keep them away from children.
This is pretty startling because this is the first credible person, first credible institution to issue a formal advisory. We've never seen this before.
No.
What most of the medical establishment will say will be, look, there's caveats here. There's no definitive evidence to say that cell phones are dangerous, but in the same breath, you have to say that there's no definitive evidence, long-term evidence, to say that they are safe. And herein lies the problem. The advisory is specifically also targeting children, saying they have smaller heads, they have softer brains. That radiation can penetrate more easily. Again, sounds good, but there's no evidence to sort of support that. The cell phone industry has released a response to previous remarks. They say the overwhelming majority of studies about wireless phones do not pose a health risk. The American Cancer Society, the World Health Organization, both agree with that statement as well. But, you know, it's one of those things. It's been out there for some time.
Yeah.
A lot of reputable people believing this, but this is the first formal advisory coming out.
Yeah, I feel like we're going down that same path of immunizations and vaccines. You know, there's no definitive research that they may lead to autism. This is the same type of thing, but yet people are very aware and start sort of rethinking their habits or, you know, what they're doing with regard to studies like this.
Yeah, and I think that they're not saying don't use cell phones. Right. Nobody is saying that, but they're saying there's enough of a concern here that we should be a little bit more careful. For example, switching ears, you know, so you limit your exposure. Not sleeping it underneath your pillow like so many journalists
Who
do.
does that?
Well,
really?
you know, just in case you get called in the middle of the night, you're worried about that. Limiting your overall cellular minutes. Using a wired headset, you know that I do that quite a bit.
Yep.
Putting time limits on children. Text messaging. There's all sorts of different things that they're offering specific sort of options for people who might be worried about this.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, use the nightstand. Don't put the phone underneath the bed.
Right.
I mean,
well, if you have it on vibrate,
right
though, you may
there.
not hear it. You know, so it's just
make it ring.
I've gone through this whole.
I know. That's why I'm
But then
saying
my wife yells at me.
Right.
It's a thing.
I'm just trying to save you from Rebecca.
But she yells at me for other things as well. So.
Let's stay on track, though. There was also something in this study, was there not, about special precautions if you're pregnant?
Yeah, and so for the same reasons we talk about children, an unborn fetus could actually be exposed to this, what is called non-ionizing radio frequency. That's the precise name for what a cell phone gives off. And, you know, they say with pregnant women they should be especially cautious about this. And again, it may not be so much holding it to your ear as putting it in your pocket.
Yeah.
If you think about this as a electromagnetic radiation generator, how would you treat it any differently? That's sort of the point of this advisory. Yeah. Maybe you wouldn't put it in your front pocket. Maybe you put it in a bag instead. You'd use an earpiece. You'd limit your time.
Very, very quickly. Cell phones have been around for a long time. Wouldn't we know by now?
Well, you know, it's an interesting question because really, you know, it's 2008 now. You need 20-year data to really say, do these things have a relationship to brain cancer, for example? And while they have been around for a long time, they become much more commonly used over the last decade, and especially among children. So I think, you know, it's one of those things that the advisory says, are we waiting too long for the science to catch up? Should we be using some of our common sense now?